proudest day and the proudest time in the seat of a rally car, because that day and that hour and those minutes, I got the bit between my teeth. You know, I really stood up and was counted and said, this is not getting away. I remember when we pulled on our helmets and Donald says to me, what are we doing? I said, we're going for gold, Barrett. That's all was said. I can still picture that run. That was just the best run ever.
Welcome along to Krunching Gears, the Rally Podcast, Season 3, Episode 26. We're going to talk rallying once again, and in this week we talk the Sperrins Rally. We'll speak to Josh McErlean and Desi Henry.
Jonny Greer.
Then Carlow and the Mark II Challenge. We catch up with the winners of the Mark II Challenge, Frank and Lauren Kelly. And then you see him here. Luke Barry's going to help us preview the Jim Clark. But before we start, can you please like, share, rate, subscribe? All those things make a huge difference. But Connor, the Sperrins at the weekend, Josh McErlean come home. A lot of pressure on him, but he delivered.
Look, home event. It's a long time since he's rallied at home and absolutely delivered. Like, he had a brief test in a polo that he's never driven before. And again, just from the get-go, fantastic. Just on the ball. But certainly I wouldn't say on the limit. I think there was more there if he needed it.
Yeah. And look, we know he's world class, but I think last weekend just reaffirmed that.
Yeah, first of all, I'm just going to say hi to Kevin. Hi, Connor. Thanks for having me back. It's always a pleasure. Genuinely is. I know that sounds like a cliche PR-friendly thing to say, but it genuinely is a good laugh for you boys. But yeah, Josh really impressed me, I have to say. It's a funny one in a sense, because this rally was, it's his first back home in an R5 car, wasn't it? But it wouldn't have mattered too much for his future prospects. We've seen how well he's taken care of that with his fantastic result in Portugal the week before, but there was a bit of pressure on, I dare say, more on himself, I think, than others looking in. But he knew that he wanted to try and prove a point and see where he was at in terms of his speed. And I always remember one of the big question marks I always had about, not question marks over him, but one of the frustrations I had with the way the world worked in the COVID year with Josh. He was about to embark on a BRC campaign in that Hyundai R5. And we never really got the chance to see what his pace was at against, I guess, the top national drivers. And then he went into this field of learning all the rallies and stuff. I think now we've seen this year with both his performances, just how fast he is when everything's working. Not knowing really in the car. Yes, he'd obviously had good seat time in general the week before, driving a rally car, but just a different car, different surface. Really, really impressive result. And for anybody that hasn't seen the onboard that he posted on his page this week, do go and check that out, because some of the commitment through there was mighty. Both those guys were all solid with each other, so great to see.
Yeah, and Connor, we spoke to Desi a few weeks ago as well, and he was very adamant that rallying was a family affair. That was very evident there at the weekend. Everybody, the whole clan was out, and that's lovely to see. Just everybody there and being involved.
Well, look, that's it. The McErleans were great supporters of Desi and vice versa. So, Desi, Henry and the family got behind Josh, and it was brilliant. And look, there's a bit of family rivalry there too, and a bit of one-upmanship. And, Desi was out to claim a feather in the cap if he could. And what do you call it? Josh just wasn't going to give it to him.
No, that's for sure. And then, the man third place in, Jason Mitchell, Jason, he loves his rally, and he's so competitive. He wants to be there, and nipping at these guys, and to see the confidence really build up on him now. We know how quick he is on gravel, but to see that pace now come on tire is fantastic. Podium at the Sperrins there last weekend, and a few weeks ago in Monaghan he was fourth. The pace is starting to come real good for Jason now at the right time on tire.
It is, yeah, and I think this is his dream, isn't it? He spent years longing to drive these stages and compete against all those famous legends that have taken on that championship, and to see him now consistently getting the good results, because we've seen it in flashes, I think, in the past, but now it's all seemingly rolling in together for him. I'm really happy for him, because I think there's a lot of drivers in Ireland. There's not many that aren't passionate about their rallying, but he's a proper rally nut, is Jason. So yeah, it's great to see his sort of persistence rewarded, because let's not forget, he's not been rallying for very long. Yes, he's been in a top car for quite a long time. It's pretty much all he's done, I think, since he's started competing, but it's some effort to be on the pace of these guys that know the stage like the back of their hand. So yeah, it's really, really nice to see it all come together from this year.
Yeah, that's for sure. Jonny Greer. Jonny has, that's 5 championships he's won now. To have the championship wrapped up in early May, fantastic. He took 4th there. He drove with the championship in mind on Saturday. That was what he wanted that event to do. Mission accomplished. And what he drove his own rally, didn't get caught up in any other fights or nothing like that. Very accomplished performance.
Absolutely. Look, fourth overall, kept his nose clean. And as you say, the goal here was taking the championship and making sure that was all tidied and bundled up and stuff. And he did that perfectly. Didn't really get into any too major fights or battles. And, a solid result once again from Jonny. And, like, what do you call it? He's really is. He's the man of the moment on tarmac in the north. Like, he's just putting up some incredible results now over the last few years.
That's for sure. And then, right down throughout the field, there's some fantastic battles. Like the man taking the two-wheel drive one was Jason Black and Carlow in the Starlet, and like they had a brilliant run too. And then Camillus Bradley and Crawford Henderson, like Camillus has built a brand new Escort, and like this car, if you get a chance to go and look around it anywhere, take the time and go and look around it. This car is exceptional. The build quality is what it is. There's a few wee initiatives there too that I think if Camillus gets them unlocked, there's going to be a few other guys definitely looking at doing this as well too. So yeah, that's really interesting. And what can we say? Like, Crawford Henderson, like he was on the show last week, an absolute legend of the sport, like and a great crack, and like he came over at the end and made a good old bit of banter. So yeah, thank you very much for that. So I think without further ado, we'll catch up with first of all we'll hear from Josh and Desi, and then that will roll in then to Jonny Greer. Tour of the Sperrins on Saturday, and what a battle! Desi, you told us you were going to go and give this man a good rattle, but he come with all the bells and whistles on Saturday, and what a performance put on, Desi.
Yeah, look, we were looking forward to going. Obviously, there's a local rally for myself and Josh, so and it was more special maybe for Josh because he's, as he said by his own thing, it's not very often he gets to sleep in his own bed. But look, we went there and we sort of, what would you say, we didn't hold any major expectations for ourselves. Obviously, we know we haven't just miles maybe under the belt recently that we had in the past. But look, certainly we went there, we enjoyed ourselves, and I don't think we disgraced ourselves at the same time. But no, Josh really showed the class and how the experience at world level can be brought home, and it was great to see it, and it's always great to benchmark yourself against that. But no, it was a great day's sport, and it was enjoyable. The stages were very good, and the weather held up, and no, you're close to home. There's not much more you can ask for. Well, if you had a won, it would have been a wee bit better. But no, look, no, look, we were certainly we were happy with our day's rally and our day's sport, and it was good to bring all the cars back home in one piece.
Yeah, Josh, like I think Desi said it all there. Close to home, being able to sleep in your own bed, surrounded by your family and friends, doesn't get much better than that. And a day in an R5 car as well.
Yeah, a day in an R5 car doesn't get much better. But no, honestly, it was a very good event. Stages were very, very good. I was surprised even during the recce how good they were. And yeah, to be there with family and friends, obviously Desi and Niall and everyone was there to have good fun, and it was good to eventually race Desi in an R5. But honestly, the pace was very high. It's definitely top class. We all know Irish rallying has a top class pace, and yeah, an R5 in them stages is relentless with the speed sensation of how narrow it is with the high ditches and stuff like that. So yeah, it's definitely a unique place to go rallying, and it's been a long time since I've done a rally here, not even in an R5 car either. So no, it would definitely give you the bug to come back and do more.
Because I spoke to Crawford Henderson last week, and the club put a major effort into this, like picking a really good demand challenging route. Like there was, I think, 2 chicanes in the whole rally. One of them was, coming out onto like near houses, so they wanted to just kill it off a wee bit. It wasn't actually necessary. Like it speaks volumes, the dedication of that small team that got such challenging stages. Yes, there might have been a few road miles, but I think the challenge is worth it when you got to the stages.
Yeah, without doubt. I think the number of chicane speaks for itself. There was none basically, and to have the speed over them stages, over risky, over the top end of that mountain was it was very very fast and committed, and to have not many accidents either is good as well for the sport. But yeah, the stages held up. There was a bit of cutting throughout, but I think it was generally clean, which is what you want for especially the competitors down the field who are maybe 100 cars in, and the stages weren't that polluted in places. So no, it was a great day's fun, and taking the win was a bonus on top. But we went to enjoy it, and we did, and that was the main thing.
I think Desi, everybody associated with that rally, associated with the Marsfield Motor Club, should be very proud of the event they put on there on Saturday. Like every man from car 1 to car 101 come off them stages raving about how good they were, how well run the event was.
Yeah, look, Marfall Motor Club's always run a good event. And I was telling someone the other day that the week after the Tour of The Sperrins last week, I got a phone call from Crawford Henderson, who's one of the, I suppose, main organisers of the event, does the safety plan and does all the work sort of behind the scenes. A week after the Tour of The Sperrins last week, he was planning this year's event. So it shows you the level of dedication and the amount of work that has to go on behind the scenes. And them boys behind the scenes, they leave no stone unturned. And we're sort of laughing the other day, the amount of work was done and the amount of effort and stress goes on, but yet Crawford can still do the rally as well. So it shows you how prepared he actually was when you get to the stage. You can go and do it. I think they finished 7th or 8th overall. But no, look, it is a credit to them. They run a great rally, and as you were saying, very little chicanes, and that transpires under very little headlights and bumpers needed at the end of the rally. So, but no, look, certainly we enjoyed ourselves. Like I always say, I don't mind, slightly longer road sections if it means driving to good stages, and I think that was a wee bit what Saturday was like. We certainly got good stages, and I never heard one person complaining about the stages or the road sections because they were happy with what they were getting there.
And like Ruski, like it probably is, one of the unsung heroes of Irish rally, and the challenge that's there, like, and there's just something very magical about it, and it probably doesn't get the same headlines as a Knockalla or a Moll's Gap or whatever, but like, it's got its own unique challenge, and it's not an easy stage by no manner of means.
No, look, I think Josh touched on it down the backside of Risky. It's a hairy piece of road. It's very, very high speed. There's cuts and there's ins and there's bridges and there's trees and there's farms. There's everything you could think of, but it's all 4th and 5th gear. There's one stage where we're going down the mountain and I know Shane was basically struggling for breath to get all the notes out. And I remember some of our navigators commenting on the same thing. And you can have the best navigator in the world, but they can only have so much breath. But no, it is also, and to be honest, when everything's going that quick, you do struggle to take it all in. But no, to be fair to Shane, to get everything out and get all the notes out, and but it was hard work. It was probably harder work for once. It was harder work for the navigator than it was for the driver. I'm only joking. I was shot for saying that.
And like, Josh, if anybody hasn't watched you're uploaded an in-car there this evening from Risky, and like I advise anybody to go and watch it. Like they talk about commitment, both sides of the car working in harmony. For somebody at such a short time in that polo before the event to go in and do that, like I don't know, like it just shows you the level you're at. The braveness there, I haven't seen that in a long, long time in car.
Yeah, it was good. Honestly, the polo was quite easy to drive. It was probably one of the easiest cars I've got into and like gone to straight away. The chassis, I would say, is very good on it, and that's what gives you the confidence to start pushing. But no, as Desmond was saying, over Risky, the co-drivers is relentless. There's that much detail in it, and it's coming that quick down the backside with the going downhill as well. So no, it was definitely a good sensation coming off that there, and it's not often Fuzzy would like comment on a stage, and he came down and I just fucking that was crazy. So no, it was definitely a good job by him, and yeah, you can finally upload it on board on the Facebook. You don't have WRC copyrights going after you to say not to do that. So no, it's good to show what we've been doing, and yeah, there's a lot of notes in it.
And this is probably one of the good things about rallying close to home. You have that wee bit more freedom, to show others what you are doing.
Yeah, it's not even that there. The social side in Irish rallying is very good, and the crack in between the stages, and everyone's having the crack. And yeah, I think it was after the first stage we came down and we were doing something in the setup, and Jason Mitchell came up and, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" And we were clicking a suspension or something, and then he was. I had to go back and help him do it as well. So that's the way they operate. And no, it's good crack. Everyone's having a laugh, and it was good to see him and the podium as well, because he's a competitive man, and he wants to be at the sharp end.
Yeah, like you have to, that you just like you mentioned Jason there, like a guy that's only rallying a few years, like for the level he's at, like he has took this and really grabbed this by the neck, and he is doing his best. Like his pace and gravel is exceptional, and every year he's getting that wee bit quicker in tar nearly every event, and he had a really good run in Monaghan, now a great run in the Sperrins. Like the guy must be getting soaking up all the information he can gather, like that changing the clicks and one thing and another. It's amazing how competitive he wants to be.
Yeah, he's one of the most competitive men I know, and like even this morning he was ringing me first clip, looking to know onboards and stuff like this here. So he's always pushing himself on, and he wants to know the fine details, which is good to see. Obviously, he wants to be better, and no, I like helping him out because he's a funny man.
But that must obviously, when you see that has to push you on then too, because you have to bring your A game as well to, because like this guy coming behind and all the other guys coming behind are going to be pushing to the absolute limit. They're going to try, tweaking the suspension between stages. They're going to have to, do whatever has to be done.
Yeah, hey, it never stops. Every rally brings different challenges and different setups and different pace notes. Every single rally got its own, individual aspects to it that you have to fine tune. And like I would say you could test all week, and you land at the rally, and take for instance Josh. Josh was testing you the week, went to the first stage, and I think you were crashing out. You had to adjust the suspension. That's just typical of what can happen. So no, you just have to be constantly changing for the better. Sometimes you change things that makes it better. Sometimes you change things that makes it worse. But I think the key is that you keep changing things and you keep trying to better yourself, and eventually, yes, you will get faster. And Jason, I think, is a good example of that. Jason, he never seems to give up, and he's getting he has always been quick in gravel, and he's now at the very, very sharp end of the tarmac pace there too. And I think for Josh, he landed there on Saturday with probably a target on his back, with me and Jason both looking to take pieces out of him, and he handled it very well. So I believe we were trying to taunt him at times now, but it didn't work. But I was actually laughing. I was telling the story of the other day. I met Jason on the recce last Sunday, and we were driving around, and he assumed this was our local rally, and he says, "Desi, you've been over these stages that many times. The dogs don't even bark at you anymore." But to be honest, most of them stages I haven't been on from. I think they ran some of it in Ulster back in 2017. Sometimes people think that when you're close to home, you'd be over them stages all the time, but unfortunately, you don't be.
No.
You don't. I don't have time.
Risky's not a road that you
No,
go to the shop on.
it's a road you have to be going on it to go on it, don't you? You don't have to.
It's certainly not the handiest place in the world, but I suppose it's it's a bit of banter and a bit of crack like that. For me, that's what brings you back to rallies. Obviously, you've the thrill of driving back the backside of risky, but you've also the social aspect, as you just touched on there, which is very, very important. It is rallying is a close knit community, and it takes all them bits of laughs and bit of slagging and bit of joking to keep things interesting.
Yeah, because back at the finish ramp then too, like the way the whole family was there, for, your two cousins, but like, this was, brothers, sisters, extended family, everybody was there, and kids. Like, it's a real family occasion. Like, this is not just, when the boys out, for a bit of crack. This is everybody's involved in this here, and like Desi, I think that just adds a special element to, the Henry McErlean scene.
Yeah, look, we've been running around rallies from, I don't know, certainly I was 10 or 12. I think Josh was a lot younger, and I mean, it's all piled under the back of a Vico van, and I think she had actually 3 rows of 3 seats. There was 9 of us, could have been held under a rally going on to be honest, I would say a lot of the chat in the van maybe wouldn't have been that wise at times. I think Josh probably maybe at 7 or 8 years old probably get an education. I would say probably. To be honest, I would say that's where Josh probably learned about the birds and the bees.
It's been scared since.
But no, it's and it's that that family friendship and that's been right through the years. Obviously when that was for me and was rallying, and then obviously me and Niall then started rallying, and then obviously then Josh took off rallying. So no, it's always been a family sport for us, and I don't know how many people was there at that finish rump, but it was great to see everybody there, and certainly it's I keep it's very, very nice when you come to home rally and you have so much family support and home support, and no, it makes it all worthwhile.
Yeah, because Josh, I think it was your dad I was speaking to, and he said something along the lines of, well, I don't care, who finishes first as long as the two of them finish, and and then at the end of the day, he said he had no fingernails left and he was nearly down to the stumps, but it was great to be there and to be so close to home, to let everybody enjoy it. If that had been in Portugal, or that had been in, even Carlow or somewhere else, everybody just wouldn't have had the same vibe there to be all get there on the day.
No, it's a big family day out for us, and everyone was there, and yeah, it's not often we get that there with obviously the World Championship and stuff like that there, but to have Desi and Niall there, as I said, and everyone had a good day out, no damage done, and yeah, we went to the bar after it, which you don't get much of that either now. Even in Irish rallying, everyone keeps scattering and going home, which is good to have the social side to it, because that's when the crack and slagging starts. And no, I think Desi now focusing on Donegal is back to helping him. We're not enemies anymore, and we'll see how we get into Donegal, and hopefully I'll be there to help him with gravel notes, stuff like that there. So yeah, it's we're all one big team.
Yeah, go ahead, sorry, Desi.
I don't think I get enough credit. I was Ian's father actually paid me 100 quid in the morning of the rally to let Josh won the rally. So, and Chat knows that Ian will be pretty tight. So I thought, even if he was only given 100 quid, it was the it was the top. It must have meant a lot to him. So
it took 200 off Josh, didn't it? So everybody was a winner.
Everybody was a winner. Yeah.
But
I wonder. Yeah,
that's right. There's something just that Josh touched on there too. Rallying has got, come the end of the event, a lot of boys do scatter, but it was nice to see you all going out and having a bit of crack then at the end of the event as well.
Yeah, it was fantastic. I don't know, there must have been, maybe 20 odd people went out afterwards, and it was, it was great. It wasn't so great now on Sunday. We certainly had nicer days, but no, look, we went out and it was great crack, and chatting about the day and all the thrills and spills that happened during the day. It definitely was. You don't, as Joyce says, you don't really get that so much anymore. It used to probably be a bigger thing, prize givings at rallies, where you would have stayed on, had a few pints or whatever, and then headed home. But I don't know. I think maybe everybody's lives is so busy now that they just want to get up the road after a rally and get back. So, but no, it was great on Saturday, and it's hopefully something we can make an annual thing after the Sperrins now.
And then Josh mentioned Donegal then too. You have to be going in now. Confidence must be good now. That's two events that you've had good runs and good weather. If the weather's favourable, you're bound to feel now you have a good car below you in dry conditions. I know at least. Yeah,
look, we've always been sort of comfortable in the southern and the dry. It's been no secret. Anytime we go to a dry rally, we're competitive. We did struggle last year in the wet, and in Galway we did make inroads on it, and we're a lot closer than we were in the tricky conditions. So no, look, we're certainly looking forward to it. The past few events have been dry, and we've been really settled. We haven't felt like we've been that far away, and I say we've been fairly competitive. So no, hopefully now when we get to Donegal, the weather should be fairly good. We're hopefully going to be doing Munster stages before it as well, for a bit of a shakedown to make sure we're ready for the hills at that stage. So no, look, we're in a good place at the moment, and hopefully we can get around Munster and make a wee bit more progress as well, and hopefully we'll be ready for a battle in Donegal.
Excellent. And then Josh, from your point of view, then WRC too, Becon's like, I'm still blown away by like the performance in Portugal. Like, I know you spoke to Connor last week, but like, how good was that? Like, did you even imagine it yourself, and starting out at the start of the event, that you'd be so far up the leaderboard?
It's always hard judging going into them events where you're going to be obviously a new car, new team, and new people around us with new ideas, which is always good going into these bigger events. But yeah, Portugal's tough and rough, and as everyone knows, but we are on the pace from the outside or the offset, which is probably more important than the end result, because you could finish the rally and pick up the spots as you go along, but we're actually fighting for stage times, which is pretty important when you get to that level. Portugal's done now. We've had the joy, we've had the success of it. We have to get back to work because we're leaving to Sardinia on Sunday, so it's a busy week of pace notes and trying to get back at it. And that's one thing about rallying, it can bring you from hero to zero very quickly, so you have to stand well on your feet.
Jonny, Tour of the Sperrins at the weekend. You come away with 4th overall, but the most important thing was maximum points in the championship, and that clinched the championship for yourself and now. Mission accomplished?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it was sort of new going in that we had to just sort of try and keep everything together and not really doing too silly. Obviously, we knew we had a round in hand as well, but the sort of plan was to try and not have to rely on that like we did the last couple of years. We always sort of went into the last round having to finish, and it was you didn't really enjoy your day because you were just trying to finish the rally. And the plan this year was to try and make sure that didn't happen again. It was kind of one of those things where this year everything just really came together. Like all the years we've had have been good, but the last couple of years has always been we call it the round 3 curse. It was always the third round of the Northern Ireland Championship. Something always happened. I think we had an issue. I don't usually end up being the Maiden City stages. Nothing wrong with the Maiden City stages, but it always seemed to be that event was the one I couldn't get right. It was 21. We were leading the event and got a puncher in the last stage, and then the next year Maiden City we hit a bridge, which is obviously all my fault. And the next year Maiden City stage we had a crack in the exhaust manifold and it failed and put us out of the rally. So it was always round 3 was always the problem, and when round 3 this year was going to be Maiden City again, it was the kind of one we looked at thinking this could be a problem. And we actually did end up with an issue in the rear diff on the last sort of penultimate stage on the last stage. And I know he's come into the back of the car, and I just thought to myself, here we go again. This thing's just going to stop at some point, and that'll be back to square one again. But luckily, the thing held together, and we got the points for it, and then it made the possibility that we could get the championship with the round of spare, which going into the Sperrins, and that became the top priority. And when we sort of seen the guys that were entered, and we realised there was a lot of the Class 11 cars entered, so we thought, well, that actually suits us quite well because we can let those guys go and have their own race, and we can sort of sit back and just watch, because we knew we weren't going to be competitive against them anyway, so there's no point even trying to be. So it kind of made everything a wee bit easier for me just to look at it and go, well, we'll just look after ourselves and let those guys go and fight amongst themselves, and that's what ended up happening. But it was good. It was good to get Garrett up a round early and give us a buffer that if something did go wrong, we had another round. So it was a wee bit more enjoyable than the last couple of years where it has been the last round you have to finish. But yeah, everything worked well, and it's a bit strange having a championship.
I wrapped up in the middle of May.
but yeah, it's kind of left us with we'll have to go and find something to do now for the next 6 months.
And I suppose before we start looking at that, like this Northern Ireland Championship, we spoke at the start of the year, and the way that the profile has been raised up. There's new guys in charge of the social media, new guys in charge of the organising of the overall championship, and they've made a great job. It has been like such a lot more profile around the events, a lot better promotion, and that is obviously went on to the stages as well too. They've been cracking events all year.
Yeah, they have been. Yeah, the championship really has has made a big step this year with their promotion and the videos and stuff that they're doing. And it's good to see. I mean, the championship has been good for a lot of years, and it's the PR side of it has always kind of struggled, but it's just a natural thing with a championship like the Northern Ireland Championship. You have to sort of move the thing forward and try and appeal to a different sort of audience. And I think that's what they've tried to do this year, and it has been really good. And I mean, the feedback that we're getting from the guys, even in the production team and stuff, is that they think the championship's great and think that there's a lot of stuff they can cover. And they have been trying this year to try and take a step back, maybe even from just doing the pure rally result, to trying to get like the stories of the people competing, which I think is good tue. I mean, it's the results now are the results. People are going to know them right away. In the modern world. You know, they're going to be watching the end of stage videos. You know, they're going to be watching the YouTube videos and stuff that are put up by the guys all the time. So I think to try and make it something different, the guys have went that way and tried to actually go into the rallies and meet the people and find the stories with the people doing the events. I think that's been a nice change too.
Yeah, because it's lovely to see that, you know, the personalities behind it. You know, seeing it was Kirkuson, you know, it was the father daughter. You know, they spoke to Emma and Kenny and the Laura and Robin Phillips as well too. You know, and wee stories like that, and the Rallians follow those wee stories, and it's great to see them being brought out to the wider audience.
I think so. You know, it's they have to go in. I think that's where the uniqueness is of the Northern Ireland Championship coverage, is they're actually going and doing that. And it's sort of we probably don't really see it as much because we're involved in the sport, and you're sort of like laser focused and like you want to see the cars and you want to see this. But for everyone else coming in to watch those videos, it's the stories like that keep people interested. You know, and I think it does help develop the series, and give it. Plus, it helps give a spotlight on the people who, you know, historically won't be getting the coverage. So it helps bring everybody on board, which I think is good. You need to cover the whole thing. There's no point covering just the top 10 cars every event. You need to go out and see who's doing them, and you need to sort of bring the more human element into it rather than just results based. You know what I mean? So it's it's been very good.
Yeah, because like that opens it up. Like, you know, we all love, you know, like watching something on TV and getting kind of the behind the scenes look, and you know, for rallying to appeal outside the bubble that we're in, we need to get those sort of wee tidbits of information, that those wee human nature stories as well.
Yeah, I think that helps sells it. You know, I think that's what they've gone for. It's a sort of reason why like stuff like the Drive to Survive on Netflix has been so popular with people who aren't interested in motor racing or Formula One or really been into that sort of bracket at all, but they get invested on the sort of human side of it. And I think that's what they have tried to do with the videos and stuff. They're trying to bring it more trying to open it up more to the sort of person that doesn't normally watch motorsport videos, to try and give them something to get involved with. So I think it's a really good starting point, and they do seem to be quite interested in the series and in rallying in general. I mean, the guys that were doing this were covering the micro challenge last year, and that was their first kind of real step into rallying. You know, they have covered motorsport before, motorbikes and things like that, but they've never really covered rallying before, and I think they're quite surprised by the way it's been received, and the fact that the stuff's not getting the publicity it should be. And but yeah, they seem to be very willing to help and give their advice on what they think will work, which is good too. You know, it's sort of, as I say, we're not really qualified to tell them what will work. It's so they're coming sort of here and saying this is what we think will play well amongst people. So it's good to have someone like people like that involved.
Yeah, and it's good to see then the motor clubs getting the reward from it as well too, because like every event this year so far has run close to maximum numbers as well too, which is, you know, a real step forward. As you know, like the Sperrins there at the weekend and Maiden City before that, we're close to the 100 starters, where maybe in the last few years, you know, maybe it's been touching, you know, mid 70s, early 80s. So like it has to be positive for everybody.
Yeah, I think the events have been getting well received, and I think to be fair, the events themselves have been very good. The sort of probably the quality of the events is getting better and better, and especially with I think the fact that they're getting so many entries now just proves that they're doing the events that people want to do, and I think it has been a long time coming. Like the championship has had its ups and downs. It's struggled in previous years, but it seems the last sort of pretty much since coming back after the pandemic, the championship's been sort of moving forward
Every
and
year, yeah,
sort
it's
of
getting
getting up
better
and
and
up
better.
since then. So it's a good system, and the guys are really trying to push it this year. I know with even the social media side of it, they're trying to push, and yeah, it's good to see people getting involved in the championship and really trying to promote it and try and push it, and because it has all the right ingredients to be something very good. It just needs the right sort of like people behind it to give it that push, and that's what we'll have at the moment.
Yeah, because when you have events like Maiden City and the Sperrins this year, and like the Down Rally is taking a year out this year, like the Down Rally has been one of the highlights of the calendar in Northern Ireland over the last number of years too. Like we have such great events, and it's nice to be able to shine a spotlight on them.
Yeah, I think so. Obviously, the Down Rally is my particular favorite event, but yeah, I think it does. You having events like that in the Northern Ireland Championship and having the local events like that run to a very high standard, I think it helps basically everybody because it hopefully will attract people from not just here, but also bring people in from the UK and stuff to do the events if they can see that the events are worth doing. The guys in the Pro Tire Championship that came over to do the Down Rally loved it, and I think there's no reason why other events in the Northern Ireland Championship can't have that sort of draw with those guys to bring them over and do as well. And so it is, yeah, it's good to see, and I think there still is things that can be done better, but I think the trajectory, the sort of the up and up, the way it's going is good. I think it will help in longer term.
Yeah, and like now that the fact that you're a five-time champion, like you can see that development over the last few years, and like it has to give you great heart, because like it's a championship that you love doing, and it's one that works for you too, because it's close to home and everyone else as well.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I mean, it still seems strange to think about 5 titles. I mean, it doesn't seem that long ago that we came back when we came back after the pandemic, and the first event was Bishop's Court. I think it was run in July, I think at the time, in 21, and we came basically to do. There was no rallies to do, so that was the first rally, and it was our local rally, and everything kind of fell together, and we started a Northern Ireland Championship campaign from there. And it doesn't seem that long ago, even since 2017, since our first one, but especially the last four have just went past in no time. It's been quite scary, but yeah, we've seen a lot of changes in the championship ever since we first done it in 2017. Obviously back then there was gravel in the championship as well, and then the last 4 years have been tarmac only. And I think you know obviously I would love to be gravel as well in the championship, but I think the numbers don't lie. The championship since it went tarmac only has increased, and that was the main reason for doing it. It was that at the end of the year the championship wasn't being supported in the gravel rounds by the people doing the start of the year, and the last 4 or 5 years now it has been. So the plan, you can't argue with the plan that it has worked. So it's yeah, it seems to have done everything it was that tried to do back then to try and improve it. Everything seems to have worked, so it's been good. It's been good to be part of that too, and see it firsthand.
Yeah, because even the gravel has like it has improved as well. The gravel challenge, the numbers there is increasing as well too. So like it's been a 1-1 for both sides.
I think so. The with the modern cars being so difficult to change over from tarmac to gravel, I think it has. It's like when we started in the Group N cars. Maybe a day and a half's worth of work would have had the car converted. But an R5 car now, it's completely different. And I think that's just the realization of what the new cars are, and it's not really effective to have tarmac gravel anymore. And even the guys that do, they're maybe buying the car in gravel trim and keeping it there, or buying it in tarmac trim and keeping it in tarmac. The price of the kits as well is a problem. And yeah, it seems to be you now seem to have people that just do one or the other. And I think it's good that there's a championship now to cater for both, rather than having to sort of force people into the way of doing tarmac at the start of the year, gravel at the end of the year, or switching gravel and tarmac about a few different weekends. Because I mean, you probably need a week to a week and a half now to convert an R5 car from tarmac to gravel. So it does save it does save a lot of work and a lot of cost that way by keeping the two championships separate. But yeah, it seems to work. Seems to work so far. So it's like long may it continue.
Yeah, and like this year, Niall Burns has been alongside you now the last couple of years, and he finally clinched the Northern Ireland Championship this year as well. Just with different circumstances in the last couple of years, he's maybe missed one event and didn't claim the title. So nice to get Niall the title this year as well.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I mean, last year was sort of there was an event he had to do in the Middle East, which meant he missed Kurdistan, and that sort of put him out of the frame for the championship. Then just the way that the point structure worked, and with us getting a zero score in round three, it just didn't work out for him, unfortunately. But yeah, it was nice to be able to get him a Northern Ireland Championship win. And we're actually talking on the way back. I sort of joked to him, I said, "There's another one for your collection." And he started telling me all the championships he'd won before, because I think he had won Fantastic Year with Gary Pearson, where he won pretty much every championship there was to win. And I think I sort of joked with him. I said, he sort of said the Scottish and the British National Championship and all these things. And I said, "Oh, you just need a Welsh Championship?" No, and he goes, "No, I have that as well." So I think he's trying to tick them off. He has a bit of a list. He's just trying to go tick them off one by one. So, but yeah, no, it's good. I mean, it's the last couple of years I haven't been fortunate enough to have the sort of the co-driver win the award with me, which has been a bit sad too. But this year it all tied up again. So yeah, nice to do.
Yeah, and Gary, Niall was invited on here tonight, but he's too busy watching Harbour Lights, so we can't let that pass without giving a wee dig about that.
Of course, that's the family life's taking priority now, so
That's for
it's all
sure.
changed now.
So you mentioned earlier that the Northern Ireland Championships in the bag now, and you're going to look at spreading the wings now from now to the end of the season.
Yeah, I think we've sort of with the championship over so early, it's kind of opened up a few more possibilities for us. I was sort of we didn't end up going for Donegal in the end. We sort of want to give it a miss this year, and it's going to maybe open up the year now to go and do a few events that I've wanted to do for the past couple of years, but have never really got the opportunity to do with being sort of tied into Northern Ireland Championship and Irish tarmac commitments. So yeah, we're sort of well, personally, I'd like to go back on to gravel again. I haven't driven on gravel since 2019, so that's kind of what I've been looking at. But we kind of parked everything, all these theories, until after this weekend because we wanted to give full focus to the Sperrins and try and get that championship wrapped up with our main priority. So now we're sort of looking at different events. I would love to go and do some stuff in the UK again, but at the minute it's all just in theory. There's no. But yeah, there's a few events I have my eye on and things that I've looked at for the last couple of years I wanted to go and do, and the dates just haven't matched up with the sort of the tarmac championship stuff and things I've been doing then. So we're sort of sitting there with loads of time ahead of us to decide all these things, but in reality, probably not. So I need to start doing a bit of work and actually trying to get some of these things up and running. But yeah, as I say, I would love to go back and do a few gravel events and sort of try my hand back onto the list again. And I've sort of no doubt that after so many years of just tarmac that it'll be a struggle going back to gravel, but it's it's something I've talked about it long enough. I need to try and actually do it now.
Yeah, and then maybe as well too, maybe time to get the Sierra dusted off again as well too before December.
Yeah, well, I think that's the same. We tried to get ourselves a bit of a head start last year for Killarney, and we thought we were giving ourselves a lot of time to get the car out and get it ready, and the run up to the event was just a disaster. We just had so many issues, and we thought this year would be different because every year in Killarney had always been the same. It always last minute. There was always all these issues, and we'll give ourselves a good 2 months head start, thinking that's okay. The car finished Killarney the year before. It was fine. There was nothing wrong with it, but apparently the old Fords and especially the Sierras, they don't work like that. Just because they were working when you parked them doesn't mean they're still going to work the next time you look at them. So yeah, we had a lot of trouble with things, and then the last sort of problem was a gearbox issue we were running into the week before the event when we were doing our pre-event test, which pushed everything. The gearbox came back for the car on I think it was the Thursday of the event, and I remember at the time we had to go and lift Kirsty from the airport, basically back to base, back to Belfast. Got to the car, got her to her seat fitting in the car, and then I was able to drive the car up the road to make sure it was getting all
Gears.
the gears and back again, and that was my pre-event test done then. So, so I think if we start now, we might get it up in time for for December.
So thanks there to the three lads. A pleasure as always. And next now we'll talk about the Carlow Rally at the weekend. A definite winner now, and that's the championship all opened up. You know, Daniel Cronin took the one, and the polo, you know, we didn't see that one coming. So it's unusual to see Josh and Sam both hitting trouble. But nice to see a different winner, and as I say, it just makes the championship that wee bit more interesting. Eddie Doherty, another fantastic result, second overall, you know, and then third, 1-2.
Marion Evans in the
Yeah,
Yaris.
in the Yaris, yep, You know, we were so eagerly anticipating this car coming over, and, you know, Marion was very, you know, clear right from the get-go. You know, this was get round, bring the car home, didn't want no handlings, no damage done to the car. So mission accomplished. So, but look, I don't know, were you keeping an eye on the event over the weekend?
I was keeping a passing eye, as I always like to. But yeah, I think you're right. I think the big talking point for me was the fact that both Moffats had the issues I guess they did. It's so rare to see, I guess, either of them make mistakes. They're both in the same rally. Josh's weekend was particularly messy, wasn't it? And we're just looking at it early, finished in 98th place overall, which I don't know the last time if he's ever finished in 98th place overall, to be honest. It was, yeah, not a weekend to remember, but great to see that battle at the front. It was a really interesting battle all day, actually. McErlean was in there for a bit and then dropped back towards the second half. But as you just said, essentially this was an extended test for him, and I guess some mileage to familiarise himself with the Irish stages for the big one in Donegal next month as well. So is it next month? It is next month. Yeah, I couldn't do my maths there in the year. But yeah, no, it's really interesting to see that. I guess you guys would have been really excited to have the Toyota over. I've been lucky enough to have seen it a couple of times in the UK already, and it does look stunning everywhere it goes. I noticed they've got a new number plate on it as well, with the GR on it, which is a nice touch. So, little thing that pleases me. We know you have a number plate as well, Kevin, so I imagine that pleases you as well.
Yes.
So, yeah, no, it's always great to see. And as you said, Eddie Doherty, I think, deserves a good shout out here as well, because really has announced himself into the R5 Rally 2 scene this year with performances. I think that's 2 podium finishes in the last 2 events now, and across different championships. So yeah, a definite force to reckon with there at the front of all rally competitions.
Yeah, because I think that's him up to second now in the national championship as well too. Like he said at the start of the year, he was just going to build gradually as the year went on, and I think he's so far so good, Connor. He's really stepped up, and you know, it's going to be a force to be reckoned with going forward now.
Yeah, look, if he was going to build as the championship went on, he hasn't hung around. You know, he's got the grip sets go to fairly quickly, and he's clocking up some very, very strong results, and a force to be reckoned with as this championship goes on.
That's for sure. And then in the 2-wheel drive battle, you know, Kevin Gallagher and the Darien, you know, showed everybody a clean pair of heels again. And then, you know, behind him, then, you know, the Starlets and the Mark IIs fighting it out. You know, good to see the 2 Moffat brothers there too, putting up some great times now just before, you know, again, the build up to Donegal. And then Frank and Lauren Kelly taking the Mark II challenge. Like, that's the 20th anniversary of that event. And that's Frank's 3rd time won the challenge as well too. So good to see Frank having a wee bit of a rub of the green, Connor.
Yeah, look, he's had a couple of misfortunate runs out early in the year and a rebuild recently as well. So yeah, it was nice for him to get back on the saddle and get a solid result as well out of it.
So I think without further ado, we'll hear from Frank and Lauren. So Lauren and Frank, it's been an adventurous few months since the last time we spoke. It was after Galway and all was rosy in the garden, but as always with rallying, for every high there's a few lows along the way as well. Frank, it hasn't been simple. Sorry, Lauren.
Like, I joked, you know, we won the national in Galway. I was like, it can only go downhill from here. And I think I jinxed us because it kind of that's what happened.
I think your exact words were peaked too soon.
Yeah, we peaked too early in the season.
We did somewhere last year when we finished second national in West Cork, was our first rally last year. And it went a wee bit wayward after that for a while. Listen, Galway was fantastic, obviously, and we had a great run there. And then it's been shite ever since. But all self-inflicted, you know, to be fair. All my fault, all messing about. You know, West Cork was our next rally after that. Love West Cork. Love the West Cork people. Love the West Cork stages and the club and everything. They run a 3-day format this year. So
it's my birthday in West Cork weekend.
Plus, it was Friday, the 3 stages, or 3 days rally. So Friday was the start kickoff. We had a real good start to it. Fastest modified in the first stage, equal fastest in the second stage, crashed it on the third stage, which was all my fault. Again, schoolboy error. It was the first night stage of the rally, and there'd been a fair delay, to let it get dark for everybody, which was fair enough. When we came out to the stage, I went with the right tires, a really soft front tire and a soft rear because the temperature was dropping. So we were happy with the tires, and I still picked the same tires. It wasn't the tires' fault. But we sat on the start line for the best part of 20 minutes. So any heat we had gained in them got out the road was gone. I knew that. We spoke about that. Headed off into the stage. Start of it was very technical. Leaned on the car a lot. Was really aggressive. And then it opened out and got faster. And I thought, yeah, I've done enough heat into the tires. We should be all right here. First flat corner, we filled the road and didn't worry too much about it. I'm happy enough looking out the side window. Thought I'll get this up, and it was 170 till I 4-right at the farm down the hill. I was still getting it up when I got to the 4-right, and we caught the gravel and had a kettle crush and put a wheel up and through the wheel well and made a right mess. But get it up after that then, and the next one was Monaghan.
Yeah, we were supposed to do the circuit. We just missed out on the circuit.
We had the car fixed, but I took the engine out just as a precaution. Due rebuild anyway. Engine had to come out to fix the car, sent it away, and that didn't come back, which was really disappointing. So missed the circuit.
Nearly missed past your door as well, wasn't it?
Literally got past my door. Who knows? Maybe it was a blessing that it didn't do it. It looked like quite a tough rally. I couldn't even stay here. I had to leave the country basically. I went to Dublin. I just could not be here when that was happening. So went to just only made Monaghan. The engine was just back before Monaghan, but struggled with brakes the whole way through Monaghan. Probably a leftover of West Cork because with that whole corner out of her, and just could not get brakes on her, and wasn't at the races at all in Monaghan. And then stage 7 got caught out into a square right and burst through a friggin' hedge. Luckily, missed 2 penal posts. Into the field, she was shouting that there was a gate at the top of the field, so I dropped her gear and went for the gate, but the field was sodden, and we just dozed the grass up in front of us in the sump yard and just riz her up with the ground, and that stopped us about halfway across the field. Everybody thought that when they seen us that we were like 350 yards down the field, that we were going at a wild rate to get that far down the field, but I was literally trying to get out of the field.
Just got as far as we could get. It probably looked like 2 quads had went up the field because we were crabbing sideways the whole way up the field, just going, keep going.
Nearly there.
But it slowed down till we ran out of gears and we were going no further. So took a whole-wheel drive tractor to get us out of it. But the car drove back to service, and that was us out of that. And then where did we go after that?
Where are we now?
Killarney.
Killarney.
Epic Killarney. Big, massive rally to do. Forgot how hard it was to do. Hadn't been there in 11 years. Watched ourselves really well on Saturday because there were very tough stages, very tough in a car. I knew it was going to be a finishers rally, so we tried to pace ourselves for a change. Did all right on Saturday, sort of held our own top 5 2-wheel drives or something like that. Got into Sunday, which are much nicer, faster stages, and we hit the ground running Sunday morning. Got some really good times, got back up until a podium position, I think we were. And we were just behind Damien Toner, who's first registered crew. So we were second in the registered championship crews. And that was all going well until 3 stages from home. Third last stage, we came across Damien stuck in a chicane. So we knew it 30 seconds after him. We were only 4.8 down on him, got in. So that was officially job done if I had to behave myself. And he let us past, and then he rejoined behind us. So it made for some good video footage of us chasing each other through the stage. Didn't go mental because I thought, well, listen, he's probably carrying damage. I've gained 30 seconds on him. We don't need to go flat out here. And the only bit of that stage that I remember from ever doing before, way back, it was actually in the Cork 20. That stage was on Garton again. Square left into square right over bridge, and square left I crashed at it 11 years ago. So that was my square left. So I braked extra early for that. Slowed down, turned in, no problem, and then the square right, and I gave her a dig of the throttle, and she slid nicely for it, turned into the slide, and then she gripped at the back, and I still had the lock on her straight through the bridge. I could not believe what I had just done. I could not believe it. Reversed back because I knew Damien was there, so I didn't want to block the stage on him. Reversed back and dragged her over the road so he could get past. he put his thumb up to make sure we're all right. Lauren had okay board up and then said to the car, and he knew we were good, so he went on. Turns out then the stage was stopped because a crew ahead of us went off on the last corner. We were only 3 corners from the finish.
Yeah, we dragged her to the end of the finish, like with the wheel hanging off, but got over the finish line anyway. But like when we frigged that up, like we had it in the palm of our hand, it's frigged, but then realised no other cars were coming past us. And then realised the stage was stopped, and we'd pressed the OK button on our tracker and everything. And they called us to make sure we were all right. And I said, yeah, we got over the finish line, whatever. But they were more concerned about the other car that had went missing. Had we seen them or whatever? So that was what ended up being the stoppage of the stage, and essentially, in turn, saved our skin.
Yes, we got notional time, and Damien got notional time. So his 30-second loss was gone as well. So it was a matter of trying to get repairs done because we were in no shape to do 2 more stages. So we always carry a rose joint in the car, and we broke 2 of them on the left side, so we got one in to make her that we could drive her to the next stage. And then Lauren came up with a brainwave that Damien Toner would be a good man to carry spares. She rang him.
The cheek of me.
She rang him, and he had another rose joint in the car, so he left it out on the start line for us because he had to start the stage. So Lauren had to do a fair bit of running up to get, because everybody didn't start the stage that I took down the bridge on. They had been diverted because of the stoppage with the car ahead of us. So everybody was there. We were the last car on the road at this point. The stage closed car was sitting on in the queue. So by the time we got the rose joint back and bit the car into some kind of shape with a sledge we got to land off, we were able to then pass out the stage finish car or the tail sweep and maybe 10 or 15 other cars and get the 2 stages done with a very rambly baby blue wandering all over the place. But we scored 2nd place championship points and still ended up 5th 2-wheel drive or something. So we salvaged something. I thought that's probably the turn in our luck that we needed.
Yes.
A whole siege.
Yes. It's never simple when Kelly's involved, is it?
I say he likes to keep it interesting. He just likes to keep it interesting.
I think how bored it would be if he had somebody normal.
Yeah. But that marks the type of guy that Damien Toner is, that he would be prepared, that he may have needed that before the end of the rally, but no, he was going to give it to you, make sure you got home as well too. And you could have still beat him and took maximum points there as well.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
He could have lost points over the head of helping us.
That's the whole crack with rallying. I think that's what rallying's all about, especially here. Like, you've seen many pictures of a yoke up on its side and people working underneath it and stuff. I think that's class, and that's what it's all about. And it's dragging it as far as you can get it to go, and that's what the crack's all about.
Yeah, and in fairness, the amount of times you've seen yokes up on their side, and it's either Damien Toner or Marty Toner that's like crawling in below them, sorting them out as well too. The 2 boys are, real legends from that point of view. They help out a lot of people, and they make sure a lot of people get to the end of stages and end of rallies as well.
To be fair, I had a good laugh because Damien and Marty were both going over to the Isle of Man. It was the Isle of Man, wasn't it?
Thanks.
The next week, and that was grand. Damien got his car back together and whatever. But I'd seen Ben Taggart who was sitting with Marty, had a Snapchat up that they broke down on stage 3 or something. They were pulled off the road, and I messaged him just saying what happened, and he said, "Oh, rose jointed went." I was like, I would know he would have one of them. And he goes, "No, you got the last one."
Oh, Jesus. Send it over to me pension or something, get one to him somehow.
Oh, no.
But then you're headed into Carlow, and a rally that's been kind to you in the past, was the hopes high, or was it kind of you sort of set yourself and try and drive round, or what was the thoughts going into the event?
Well, partly it was, let's get this car to the end of a rally without hitting us, because three rallies in a row in the body shop, it does wear a man down, I'll tell you. So I wanted to get through it with no damage, but it is close to my heart, that rally. It's been good to me in the past. Won it twice in 12 and 13, and didn't really think we could win it again, but I thought, top 5, maybe top 3, maybe a podium would be nice. We were a podium last time it ran 2 years ago. We got 2nd place to Ed O'Callaghan. And I thought, you never know, but a savage entry list, real strong Mark II entry list. Stages weren't ones that had been done before in that rally, or not that I know of. I had never seen them before, and I think a lot of the guys had never seen them before. They do tend to move around in Carlow, and I think that was probably to our benefit, because familiarity does me no good, because I have no memory. Genuinely. And if stages we've done for years, I still have to listen to my notes. I still have to drive to my notes. I still get quicker the second run because I've been driving to my notes and not memorising shit. And I think that's what helped us on Sunday. It was a very much level playing field. Nobody had experience of rallying them stages. Now, I'm sure some of the local lads knew the roads. You can't unknow the road that you know. You know, what do you do? It's the way it is. But I think that was a massive help to us. The rally started off a bit strange. It was three tough stages, lovely weather, brutally slippy, really slippy. Car felt all wrong, just felt all floaty, and just you didn't know whether you were too hard a tyre or too soft a tyre. Really strange conditions. The roads do tend to be very smooth in places down in Carlow and very shiny. And if it rains, it's like a bottle. But to be that warm and that slippy was really eerie. Your eyes were telling you there's loads of grip. The car was telling you there wasn't. So first stage, as you've probably seen some of the video clips, Conor O'Donoghue had an engine problem and lost a lot of oil. So it was a fair oil spillage. And we came across that. Luckily, marshals out on the road and spectators slowing us down, and we virtually came to a stop. And then we were, sent on down into the next junction, drove on down there, and Johnny Pringle was being pushed out of a hedge. He went off on the oil. He rejoined just in front of us. We followed him for 2 or 3K. Then he realised we were there, so he let us pass. So we lost a lot of time in the first stage. And we knew we'd get a notional time amended, but it took several stages for that happened. So we didn't know where we were in the rally. Second stage, Chris O'Callaghan and Cian Trainer rolled the car, and we had to stop at that as well. So we all got notional time. So that was done fairly quickly. But got into the third stage with no idea where we were. We had a right good run through the third stage, a good respectable time. So we knew we were in that ballpark. And then all hell broke loose. There was cars going off left, right, centre. There was brackages. You were chasing a different man every time.
After the first loop, it felt really strange. Nobody had got bedded in, really, so nobody was sort of, after the first stage, right, you get into the swing of things, let's go. But it took a whole first loop, not just for us, I would say, for nearly anybody, because a lot of us didn't get a clean run at the first couple of stages, to get bedded in and get going. So it was a bit late in the day to be waking up.
But that did seem to be the nature of the event, because like Josh Moffat, who rarely makes a mistake, but two in the event, and again he was putting it down to this strange surface on the road, like whether was there a fine dust, or nobody could seem to explain exactly what it was. It was just as you said, their eyes were telling them one thing, but the car was telling them a different story. So.
It was really difficult. Again, it probably played for us, being happy for the car to slide around. It didn't bother me that we were sliding at high speed in places we shouldn't have been. And there was on stage 2, was it the downhill sections? It was 2 or 3.
Stage 2, yeah.
Stage 2 with 2 very long downhill sections. The first wasn't too bad, but the second had a lot of very tight corners, squares and stuff coming up, and you going downhill, big braking, hairpins, and zero grip. We were sliding down, and you could hear the whole thing locked up, and the drivetrain locking up and everything, and you just had to throw at it and hope for the best. So I can see how it happens, how everybody gets caught out. It sort of played into our lap that we were happy enough for the car to slide around and to go with that and to try and carry it through. And it seemed to work for us. And we ended up in the last loop then, leading. When everything got amended and everything, we were leading by 4.8 seconds or something from Mickey Carbon, who was going really strong. Ed O'Callaghan was going strong as well. He was between the two of us, got into the last service, but he gear linkage problem coming out and didn't get out of service at the finish up, which was really unfortunate because he was having a fantastic run. So it was up to us and Mickey Carbon got into the last loop, and I felt that I never got going flat out the whole day, but we pushed hard in the last 3 stages. We took 0.7 off Mickey on stage 7. He took 0.7 back on stage 8. So it left us with 4.2 or 3.8 or whatever it was going to the last stage. Now, he had hurt us right and hard the last time we went through that stage, but I knew where I'd lost it. I had the only real blot I'd made the whole day was a really gravelly square right, and I had half spun and stalled the car. Probably lost 4 or 5 seconds, but he took maybe 6 or 7 off us. So I knew he was going to go well on it. Now, it turned out when we were lining up to go into the stage, he noticed that he had a slow puncture in the back. So we had to change that wheel. And I would say it unsettled him a bit. Starting the stage with a sort of cold tyre on one side of the back of her. but we went as hard as we could, and we got a right good time through the stage, and he lost 10 seconds on the stage. I would say if he hadn't had to change the wheel, it would have been a closer affair. But I still think we'd have had him. I said to Mickey, I said, I don't know what way he took it, but I said to him the last loop when it turned out it was down to the two of us, I said, listen, you know I can't let you win this. I says, what do you mean? I says, I could let Ed win it, but I'm not letting you win it. I said, well, what do you mean? I says, you haven't cut your teeth in a Mark II. I says, you're a relative newcomer. It's only your 5th or 6th rally in a Mark II. What would it say if you won the Mark II challenge? I says, Ed's done it lifetime, I've done it lifetime. You cannot win this. He says, well, I'm going to try all the harder then. So I hope he took it the way I meant it. It was just a bit of crack. But I just was unreal till to wait, wait from the end of the stage, get the time and realise we had won it. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah. But like as you say, he only has done 4 or 5 rallies in the Mark II. Like that's some transition, yeah. Like he was in the Evo, we've been rallying a good few years. But like a 2.5 escort is not the easiest thing to tame. Like, and you have to tip your hat to him. That's fantastic to be such short time in the Mark II and to
especially
come on so well. Yeah.
Stages and conditions like there was in Carlow.
Well, if you look, Mickey's always been a fast driver. He was very fast in the forest. And a very basic Evo in the time, and then he upgraded, and then he got a good car towards the end. But an Evo's a heavy, big yoke. He was always punching well above his weight, so it doesn't surprise me how quick he is. Probably how quick he's got to be that quick. Maybe it's a bit of a surprise, but he's no slouch, and he's not silly. He knows his car, he knows his shit. He's going to be a pain in the arse.
And then Ed O'Callaghan too. Like that's his 3rd rally in that car. And every other event he's been out on, he's been complaining he's not had the feeling the car's not right. There's just something not right. And suddenly, then Sunday, it all just seemed to slot into place for him as well.
That's Ed all over. Ed will tell you it has to have the car right. But he spent Killarney, did a real smart rally in Killarney. He spent 2 full days getting that car right. And, he didn't try and compete. He wasn't on the pace, he'll tell you himself, in Killarney. And by the end of Killarney, when I was chatting to him, he says, I think I've got it the way I want it now. And I thought, oh, bull.
Because, this is the thing. Because these, that Class 14 has got so competitive, if you have any wee slight doubt in your head about the car, you're beat before you start. You can't have a car that's 95% or probably even 97% right. It has to be 99 or 100% right.
Everything has to be right. Everything, tires, brakes, suspension, gearing, pace notes, everything has to be 100% right, or you're heading to the scene of the crime. You end up with a very hateful driving car if it's not right. You can get away with stuff with lesser power. You can get away with, wee niggles here and there, thinking things not just right. It's like the brake issue we've been having this last while from the accident in West Cork. I still haven't got the brakes just the way they were before. Breaking my balls, what the hell it is, but I'll get to the bottom before Donegal one way or the other. But even in Carlow, still just not the confidence in the brakes that I had before. There's just that wee bit of sponginess and a wee bit of locking and a single wheel at different times. And there's something going on there, but as I say, I'll get to the bottom of it. But it does play in you. It does, especially the speed you're carrying and the speed them things go. And on a dry day, the way it gets to the speed, you have to scrub that speed off somewhere or other, and hopefully not down a hedge.
Yes. And then, the Class 14, never mind the Mark IIs now, the Darian's at a different level. And now these 2 starlets of the Moffat brothers now as well too. Those guys, they don't do an awful lot of rallying, but when they come out, they are very fast as well.
They're fast lads. Any starlet is fast. Some of the Class 13 starlets on Sunday there were going at a fierce rate, and I think it was 1 or 2 of them got fastest modified times early in the rally. A starlet's just a lower center of gravity. It's just a faster package from the get-go. Much as I love my escort, I do have to admit that just seems to be the case. And then you get Kevin Eves and the Larry Twin Cam doing the things he does in that there. It's fantastic that there's a bit of variety and that there's the men to drive them. The Moffat lads, as you say, turn up anywhere and go fierce hard. Although I was really happy to be in around in David's times. He beat us by 2.8 or something at the finish up. Richard probably would have been ahead of both of us, only he had some kind of a misfire problem all day, but still was in the hunt until the last stage, where he lost 20 or 30 seconds in the last stage. So, come Donegal, them lads will be hard work.
Yeah, and like as well as that, I think that the gap to the Darien is closed as well. Like Egg didn't run away and hide this year either. Like so, that has to give you all great confidence going into Donegal that that you can get closer. You can be pushed.
I think you just have to pray that Egg breaks down. The stages on Sunday would not have suited him. I don't think that didn't feel like they were Darien stages at all, and I don't know what a Darien's like when it's sliding about. I don't know if that's a comfortable feeling or not. So I think he did fierce well to win by as much as he did.
Yes.
And Kevin's a really good driver and a really intelligent driver.
Yes.
Unlike me, he knows how to pace himself, and he did enough to do the job without hurting the car. Because the man's probably, when you see him getting tortured at the beginning of stages with different customers, come and have a listen to this, come and have a look at that. You think, poor lad's not getting a chance to rally, and he still goes and goes quickest. If he got a bit of peace, imagine how quick he goes.
You'll be getting boys to go up to the dive at the start right now.
I want to ask Kevin about that.
So, but we've mentioned Donegal now. Like it's the big one that's coming up. Is that going to be the next event then for yourselves?
That'll be the next one after you promised me after the last year and the year before. That's the last time we're doing Donegal. Next thing he turns around and goes, stick an entry in there. Is this the last time?
I haven't said nothing.
You said after Carlow you were retired. I've heard that before too.
I deny all knowledge that conversation. Did you hear me say that?
I'm pretty sure it's on video somewhere.
That's when I thought we had no chance on the Wild West of ever won Carlow.
But yeah, Donegal will be the next one. We were thinking about doing the Circuit of Munster, but as he mentioned with the brake issues and the brake's still not just 100% right, we really want to put big effort into spend the next couple of weeks getting the car up to 100% for Donegal, because it's, as usual, it'll be a who's who of anybody will be there and need to be on the pace from stage one.
Yeah.
The problem these days is you probably see with service schedule and stuff, and Sunday was the same. The single day events we service for ourselves, multi-day rallies like Killarney and Donegal. Gary Fowler from Nemesis Autosport comes with us and looks after us, which is a lifesaver. But Sunday there, because of just timing issues with stages and getting stuff tightened up, the 45-minute service was shortened to like 30 minutes and 25 minutes, I think it was. So you never really had time to do anything big. And Donegal last year, from memory, I think it was only 25 and 30 minutes services anyway. So if you have a gearbox problem or a clutch problem, you're kind of screwed. So the preparation is going to be critical. And, Baby Blue's been patched up and made do to go on to get to the next rally as last while. So I need to take the next 4 or 5 weeks, and gearbox needs a full rebuild, back axle needs a full rebuild, suspension needs a full rebuild, brakes needs sorted. Engine's fresh, so we're all right that way, but there's a lot of stuff needs to be just right. She needs to be for a beginning of a season at the beginning of Donegal.
Yes.
Half shafts and everything sitting ready to go on her. All that stuff needs to be just right, because if you have anything other than a starter, an alternator or something small, you're kind of screwed.
Mm-hmm. And then after Donegal, is the foreign adventures going to begin then?
We have a couple of things in the pipeline. We've confirmed an event in July. It's a sort of a single stage, 8-kilometer stage done 4 times on the 12th, 13th weekend of July.
In Spain.
And northern Spain. So we've agreed to do that. So we're going out to do that. That's a bit early for me, to be honest. Usually I would prefer to leave it September, October time. Rally Legends have been in touch, believe it or not. So the huff's nearly over, so I'm thinking of going back. They've come at us really early this year. Usually they leave it like a fortnight before the event, and it leaves it really hard and difficult to book stuff and get shit together. But it looks like we're going to go there. So we might fit a few in between that. Usually when I take the car out, I like to have 4 or 5 to do. But we're committed to the Irish Tarmac Championship. Fair enough, we haven't done brilliantly, but the win in Galway and the second place in Killarney has put us back in a sort of a possible chance of fighting for that championship. Donegal, obviously the next round of that. Ulster and the Cork 20. Cork 20 I want to do anyway, because it was the best rally we did last year, the Cork 20. They're changing to a single day this year. So I hope that works out for them. And they have a fantastic facility at Cork Mart, where they have a lovely tarmac service area, and Park Fermi and service and HQ is all there. So for clubmen, it's such an easy rally to do. Completely opposite to the likes of Killarney or even Donegal. You know, the skipping about in the services, different places. So yeah, we'll play out with that there and see what way it goes. See if we can keep the thing upright and less blue paint.
We'll worry about that when we get there. One rally at a time.
One corner at a time.
What can we say about Frank and Lauren that hasn't already been said? You know, legends, the two of them. Look, this weekend coming, Rallying doesn't get much closer to home for you than the Jim Clark. You know, we lamented last year how fantastic of an event it was. You know, the rich history of the event, especially from the Irish point of view. But the BRC comes to visit this weekend.
Yeah, I think if anyone watching the video here probably saw my eyes light up here. I think I've never really hidden my love for this rally, to be honest. Not very well. I've ever tried to. Yeah, I think the best weekend of the year for me. And not just in a rallying sense. For me, it's the reason I love this sport was growing up in this area and having this rally close to home. So I've definitely got a massive soft spot for it. But in general, this year I think it is actually going to be a really, really exciting event. And I dare say tempting fate, and this could backfire on me, but I actually think the battle, particularly talking at the British Championship side of things, could actually be the most interesting we've had all year. So yeah, looking forward to it, as always.
Yeah, because Connor, like the BRC has been really reinvigorated this year again too. And, you know, we always said it was a strong championship, you know, maybe not in terms of numbers, but in terms of quality. Now that it's got the quality and the numbers now as well.
Absolutely, and a really interesting mix of drivers and crews. Like, you know, from our own perspective, there's obviously Keith Cronin there, but, you know, William Crichton in the mix there. And then when you look at, you know, Chris Ingram's had a, you know, good, strong start to the BRC. Throw in Oisin Price, you know, with Marion that we just talked about there from Carlow. You know, Marion is on a full tilt on the BRC as well. So, you know, some really strong performances there. Plus then, you know, your local guys, you and Thorburn as well to throw into that mix. Like it's a really interesting range of competitors and cars as well that are, you know, taking part.
That's for sure. And like another guy then too, well, two other guys, two local, is Gary Pearson and like Max McRae. I think Max is going to be a very interesting prospect come the weekend too, because if he starts to click with that Fiesta, like, you know, the guy's immensely talented, and it'll just be very interesting to see how he gets on. Look.
Yeah, well, he had very good speed on his sort of Fiesta Tarmac Rally 2 debut. That's a really clunky way to say that, but the Northwest Stages a couple of months back, the result eluded him, but he had a couple of like fourth fastest times, I think, in there, and maybe one in the top three. And against such a big field that weekend, and I guess how little experience he had at the time, that was a really big performance. This, as much as it's a rally in Scotland, which is his home country, he did it last year, but only got one stage in because the car broke down on him. So he's not actually got a load of experience to bank on, which may count against him, because most of the guys have done this rally at least a couple of times. Not everyone. Will Crichton's never been there. Chris Ingram has, but it was like 10 years ago, I think, in a Twingo. So it'll be a bit different hearing down those lanes as car one in a Polo R5. But he's a European champion. He'll adapt to that pretty quickly, I'm sure. But yeah, I think Max could be the surprise package in amongst that sort of top 10. We've talked about the big names there already. But this is why it excites me, is I think compared to the other two rallies in the British Championship this year, where I think for the opening round, everyone kind of expected Chris to have the edge just because of who he is, but also because it's his local event and he'd done it before, whereas a lot of the guys hadn't. I think, again, rightly or wrongly, because I guess they're stages that he actually haven't done that recently, and a lot of guys knew them, but Oisin Price was seen as, I guess, the favourite for the Rally Nut stages in the 7th Rally. This time, it's very, very hard to predict the winner, because I guess you would argue Keith is possibly favourite, given how quick he's been on tarmac, and he's won this rally before, but he's not had the best start to his British campaign, so we don't really know actually where he filters in against those front-running guys when everything is going right. Chris Ingram is obviously Chris, but the thing interesting for me here, sorry, I feel like I'm rambling, but getting excited, as you can tell, but he's decided to play his Joker in the championship, which, for anybody that isn't aware, allows the competitor to score an extra 5 points if they win, down to an extra 1 point if they're fifth, and you can play one throughout the year. But kind of the norm in the past for championship contenders has been to play that sort of towards the end of the year, but he's gone for that now, which I think is really interesting. And obviously it's my job to try and find out why that is this coming weekend, but I think that's quite a bold move. So I respect it from Chris. It puts a bit more pressure on him to really get that top result. But yeah, Will Crichton, as much as he hasn't done the rally, I think we all seen how fast he's been. Even Merriam with the tilted. James Williams is one we haven't actually name checked. He got his first rally win on the Manx. So yeah, there's a properly competitive bunch of guys all fighting for that win. So it should be an entertaining battle for sure.
And then, like the route this year, is it a mix of kind of traditional stages that we know and love, or is there a few new ones thrown into the mix?
There's new stages for sort of the modern incarnation of the event, if I can call it that. But I think the new, well, actually, I guess you could call them new. Some of the stages have the same names, but they've been quite heavily tweaked. Friday's the big difference, I think, compared to the past, where before we've only ever had sort of 2 stages, a repeated run of the legendary Abbey St. Bathans. This time we've got 6 stages across Friday, sort of 2 loops of 3. So it gives the rally a lot more meat, I guess, and a much more of a challenge. And one of those is the famous Langton Super Special, which I think everybody knows, the famous sort of clips of the cars going through the water splash and stuff. So that's great to have that back. And then they've made some sort of different alterations, like they've reversed the Abbey stage, so going down the Moorlands rather than up them. And then it goes a different way at one of the junctions. So it's a slightly reinvigorate the challenging for some of the guys, which is great for competitors because nobody wants to do the same rally every single year. It's always nice to get a slight fresh challenge. So yeah, I need to work out where I'm going to try. Well, I've got a lot of work to do, but me being me and having this sort of memories of watching this rally, I need to try and get out and watch as much as I can as well. So I need to carefully find where the best spots are, I think.
Yeah, because Connor, when we talk about the Jim Clark, your memory goes back to, Eugene Donnelly, Andrew Nesbitt, the Cousin de France, the P2000, the Yellow Fin, it's such an evocative memories from that rally. And it's great to see, the likes of Will and Keith and all back over there, hopefully flying the flag for our guys once again.
That's it, as you say, like it does. The days when we had the Irish Tarmac Championship and the BRC running side by side, and it was such a strong event. And when you mentioned Eugene and Derek McGarty and that, and going over and Nesbitt, we were bringing such quality to go and compete on Tar and in UK. It was great. So yeah, the fact that we have William, and we look at how strong Williams, first couple of events have been like incredible. And as Luke said, look, Keith hasn't really got up and running, so he's due, a bit of luck here and a bit of just, having a clean event that no punctures, no issues. And we know what he's like on tarmac. He's lethal.
And look, I suppose maybe last word to yourself then. What is it that makes the Jim Clark so special?
Oh, you've hit the big question on me. To be honest, I actually, in some ways, find it kind of difficult to answer that too objectively, because for me it's a very, very personal thing, because as I've explained, it was the rally that came to my local area. So it is like, I guess as maybe somewhere in the region maybe didn't like it and rather move away for the weekend, but for me it got me engrossed in this wonderful sport. So no matter where it went, I think I would always have something, a special attachment to it. But obviously it's got, the UK, we don't have as many closed road events as you guys obviously do in Ireland. This one is the one with the longest history on the mainland. There are events like the Manx and Mull, which have a sort of more history on tarmac roads, but they're not in sort of the mainland island of the UK. So the rally's always had that going for it. There's big memories of the F2 days and all these British legends and Irish legends you've been talking about there as well. But the stages are actually really quite difficult, really fast and quite deceptive in places, quite difficult and tough on cars as well. So it rewards big commitment, these roads. So whoever does win that has definitely earned it. You can't cruise through this and try and get through. So yeah, it's a real big challenge. And yeah, just generally speaking, and I'm going to jinx this big time, but particularly when the events moved from used to be in the summer, now runs in late May, the weather's always tended to be quite good, which makes it a nice one for spectators as well. So yeah, always a very good atmosphere, and yeah, just I think a great sort of event in the UK calendar.
Yeah.
Can we put Luke on the spot here and ask him to call it? Who's going to win?
Yeah. I hadn't thought about that. I should have seen that coming. If my hunch says Keith, because I think he has to, and I know that I guess a lot of them do, but for me it'll be Keith, Chris, or Ocean. But I won't sort of back out of it. I'll say Keith, and we'll see what happens.
Connor?
Yeah, I kind of think I would put everything on Keith. I think he's overdue a decent run in the BRC, and he really has to pull it out of the bag, or the drive for five's gone really.
Yeah. And like we're probably really putting the Vex on him. That's 3 out of 3. I'll go for Keith as well, too. So.
Well,
no pressure, Keith and Mikey. No pressure.
No pressure. But he has the. Speaking of 3, here's a weird coincidence for you. He has the chance to equal Andrew Nesbitt's record of 3 Jim Clark wins if he does do it, which would make him the most. I hate this word, but the most wingingest driver of the event. So I'm not sure if that's something that really bothers him. But there you go, Keith. You've got a chance to sort of level some history if that motivates you anymore. Who knows? But yeah, we should. I think I'd give a shout out to Chris Ingram here as well. Though I think we're probably forgetting just how good he is, particularly on tarmac. So I think the Abbey St. Bathans stage on Friday night, the first one of that will be a big teller, because generally these longer stages when the guys really try and make an impression, and it's always been a stage that's suited Keith, put it that way. So,
and then I suppose the final thought from it is as well too, the Jim Clark Reivers runs on the Sunday. Like it's a more of a national event, a lot more kind of Scottish competitors, and it's always a great event too. There's kind of like almost like a not fair to say, but more of a party atmosphere around it. It's a more fun event than the 2 preceding days.
Yeah, it was always designed to be sort of the clubman version of the rally. There are quite a few competitors that actually do both events, so they'll do 3 days of rallying. But for those that can't, or for those that are doing only the Scottish Championship, then they'll come out and do that. And they've only got, I think it's 7 stages rather than 14. So yeah, it's a lot more affordable, just a classic good day out. Again, different stages to what the guys used on the rally before, which is nice. It mixes up a different challenge for them. But yeah, I think it tends to feel slightly less intense, maybe slightly less, as you said, maybe more party, like a bit less serious, because as much as all the guys in the Scottish Championship obviously want to be Scottish champion, it's not quite as big a thing as a BRC with the TV and everything else like that. So yeah, it's quite a nice way to end the weekend, and great for spectators as well to get 3 different days which you can stand in the hedges and the fields and watch rally cars.
Excellent, yeah. So, look, I really appreciate you joining us for this episode now once again. Like, it's been a pleasure as always. And Connor, what can we say? Brilliant as always. So that was Season 3, Episode 26. Can you please like, share, rate, subscribe? And until next time, take care, speak soon, and bye.